Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Shape. This week we're going to be talking about Gallinson Tactical Systems, which is a ship weapons manufacturing company. Specifically, we're going to be going over the style guide for Gallinson and talking about how we use that to create some of the ship weapons themselves. Now, a little background information on the company. Gallinson actually started as a gun shop in Salt Lake City. Eventually, after success, they bought their own foundry and started creating their own higher quality weapons. In general, Gallinson weapons tend to have very high rates of fire and high velocity, but they also have a very high mass and high heat generation. When we were brainstorming words that would sort of give a feel of this brand, we came up with solid, reliable, and functional. Fun fact, pirates actually tend to really like Gallinson weapons, even though they typically are designed for a more civilian industrial type of use. They've put efforts into being less associated with pirates. Pirates, on the other hand, just tend to be amused that their favorite company doesn't like their associations. Now, this is the style guide for Gallinson Tactical System weapons. The style guide, we aim to help give a sense of the brand. The idea being we could pass this off and any artist across the company would be able to make a weapon that looks like a Gallinson weapon. On the first page here, you'll see marketing type info. You'll see their logo, you'll see their tagline, you'll see some flavor text about what the company is and what they aspire to be. You'll also see a lot of keywords about their aesthetic and their function, and some basic information on the systems that their weapons tend to use. Over on the left, you'll see a little spectrum that talks about 4 different focuses that companies tend to make their weapons for. You'll see civilian, industrial, etc. And this helps us, when we're creating the weapons, get a sense of what their purpose is when we're creating them. You'll also see a color palette to show colors and materials that companies tend to use on their weapons. And at the bottom, any concept art that we might have so far, even if it's a work in progress. For example, at the bottom of this page, we have 2 images on the top, which are both 300 series Mantis. On the bottom left, we have a work in progress image of the 200 series Mantis, and on the bottom right, the 870 Tarantula. The second page of the style guide tends to be more inspirational images for things we've seen that have a similar aesthetic or similar functional items to some of the systems in Gallinson weapons or whatever company that style guide is for. For example, you'll see a lot of real-world vehicles and weaponry here with highlighted call-outs on things that we think are a particularly Gallinson-looking sort of device that we know we want to incorporate into some of our ship weapons. We've also got some 300 series Mantis Concepts to show you guys. Now, I thought that these were really interesting because they include style callouts. For example, on the first image we've called out plated armor and hooks, which we thought were very industrial and kind of give the solid feeling that we go for when creating a Gallinson weapon. On the second page, we have even more style and functionality callouts that match the first page of the style guide you saw earlier. For example, you'll see we called out the sinks and the vents and the cooling agent. This is because Gallinson weapons tend to generate a lot of heat. That's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you learned a little bit about how our style guides work and how we use them to create ship weapons. Again, this is Lisa Hinian with Shape.